Hello again, everyone. It is Al from Big-Al-YGO. It's been a while, hasn't it? Yeah, so last deck profile I did was Sword Soul deck profile right at the beginning of the release of Burst of Destiny. And that has been my main deck ever since. There's been a lot of locals. The locals that I go to at the moment is incredibly competitive. And yeah, I thought I'd bring a budget sort of Toolbox branded deck to show you guys. This deck is completely budget. You can more or less make it with just 3 of the structure deck and a few extraneous cards from other sets and like a couple of other random structure deck cards from other things. So the deck shouldn't be pushing the boat out for you. The extra deck is all of the fusion monsters that you can find in the Albaz Strike structure deck, as well as a couple of Super Poly targets and the like. So yeah, let's get into the deck profile, because this is a blind second variant, so I will be showing you exactly what we're on about. So 3 Fallen of Albaz. This card is awesome because on summon you can basically pitch a card to fuse itself with one of your opponent's monsters, so it can basically force out a negate from your opponent, especially if you use it with a card like Fusion Deployment, which can special summon it straight out of the deck. Meaning it's a very pressurizing tool going second. It's also the key card for your combos and your fusions and everything like that. We then have 3 Springen's Kit. This card is incredible because not only does it search your branded spells and traps, it can also special summon itself if you have an Albaz fusion on field or in grave, which is really good in combination with Branded in High Spirits, which is a card that nobody's playing at the moment because it might seem on the offset like it's a massive neg, but if you can special summon this and get your combos and stuff rolling before having to use your normal summon, that is incredible. So yeah, just to bear in mind. 3 Tri-Brigade Mercuria. This card is both a hand trap while you control an Albaz fusion monster which can negate cards, as well as it being able to search for any Fallen of Albaz or card that lists Fallen of Albaz while monster. So you can search Albaz, you can search Kit, you can search Albion. This card gets you going basically, and it's an allure target, meaning that you can banish it and do more things. Speaking of Albion, we've got 3 Shrouded. This card is incredible. It dumps branded spells, traps, and Albazes to your graveyard. Puts yourself to the bottom, you can draw a card. You can use it as an extender as well if you use a material from hand as part of its effect. Just bear in mind, if you use its effect in graveyard to put itself to the bottom of the deck, you will not get the draw. You will only get that if you use it from hand. It is a high level target for you to use with Titaniclad to get additional materials. It is also an incredible material to send for Lubellion. 3 Keeper of Dragon Magic. If you aren't playing on a budget, you can swap this for Alubas. They are £10 each. If not, this card is a perfectly suitable replacement. It just requires a discard. It locks you into fusions the whole turn, as well as cards like Fusion Deployment, but we only have fusions in our extra deck, so you won't have to worry. It also has a second effect, which is basically you can reveal a fusion from your deck, from your extra deck, and revive one of its materials from your graveyard and face down defense. It's very useful if you have something like Poly or Theatre in your hand, so you can activate, because you can still use face down monsters as material for fusion summon. So if you bring your Albaz out of the graveyard, you can do interesting things with that. We have 1 copy of Tragedy and 1 copy of Dramaturge. Basically, Tragedy is only in there for being banished, and Dramaturge is in there to be a 3k beat stick that can also negate extra deck monsters. You can probably cut these out. They're very cheap at the moment because they both got reprinted in Ghost from the Past too. So just bear that in mind as we go on. We have the 1 copy of Fairy Tale Snow. Most of the time these guys are being used to send off a brand fusion. Fairy Tale Snow is your main light target because you banish cards from your graveyard. It can special summon itself if Book of Moon's a monster. It pressurizes the opponent incredibly hard. And it's one of those debatable cards which probably shouldn't have come off the ban list, but there we go. Next we have probably going to be limited in the future, Branded Fusion. This card is mad. It gets you into any Albaz fusion, use materials from hand, field or deck. Yeah, so what more can I say? And 3 of Branded in High Spirits. Now this card it's a tricky card because it it basically dumps a card from your hand and a card from your extra deck. So you reveal a monster in your hand, and you then send a level 8 fusion with 2500 attack with the same type. So for example, if you reveal Albion or Albaz, you can dump pretty much any Albaz fusion to the graveyard from your extra deck, discard that revealed monster, and then you can search any card that lists your Fallen of Albaz or has Fallen of Albaz listed in its card text. So this is essentially Mercurio's copy 4, 5 and 6, as well as the fact that we have 2 copies of Branded Lost, which is also another card to help stop our fusion summons from being negated, as well as being able to search additional Albaz cards if we so need. 1 branded in white. This is like Frightfur Fusion. If Albaz is in the graveyard, you can banish materials from the graveyard as long as Albaz is one of the materials, so it can come up. 1 Theatre. It's basically a searchable poly. 3 copies of Allure. If you banish Tragedy or Mercury off of this, you go plus 1,000,000. It's mad. 2 copies of Fusion Deployment, mostly a going second tool to bring Albaz straight out of the deck, or going first if you happen to hard draw Theatre or Poly. 3 Super Poly. Despia is everywhere at the moment, so it's good as a going second tool to just fuse off your opponent's board into one of your own Albaz fusions. Then we've got some one-offs. We've got the 1 Poly. You can search this off of Keeper of Dragon Magic. 1 Gold Sark for Mercuria. 1 Sword, because mostly to be sent off of the Albion. But if you do resolve it and you have a load of branded cards in graveyard on the field, you can summon a bunch of tokens with 2500 attack. So sometimes that can pose a problem. 1 Retribution can negate monsters and can also retrieve your graved branded spells and traps, just as how Branded Sword can retrieve your banished Fallen of Albaz related monsters. So very cheap, very simple. No mess. Extra deck is very simple. 3 copies of Mirror Jade. This card is busted. It can recur itself. It wipes the field at the end of the turn. It's a quick effect banish. Yeah, it's a lot more broken in obviously the full meta version of the deck, but it still puts in a hell of a lot of work. 3 Lubellion, again, massive setup tool. Mostly it's being fused off with itself, but again, the discard is mandatory, and it can help get additional things in graveyard as well as shuffle back your resources. 3 Albion, this is your power play for going second. It lets you spit out additional fusion monsters just like Lubellion. So if you want to blind second like how I'm doing, you can use Albion to ladder into Lubellion. Lubellion can ladder into Mirror Jade, and then you can basically kill your opponent with whatever materials you've used. Titaniclad, because Titaniclad can get huge, and it also can be immune by monster effects the turn you summon it using what it needs. 1 Brigrand. This card is mostly used as a material for sending with kits for Branded and High Spirits, but it also at the end phase can either search your Mercuria or special summon Albaz, and then you can fuse off, just how all of these can, apart from Albion, which can retrieve your branded spell traps at the end phase. 1 Construct, you're pitching this if you open either Dramaturge or Tragedy with the Branded High Spirits. But again, if you're not playing the Tragedy or the Dramaturge, which to be honest you probably don't need to, you can cut this. 1 Sprint, it's the easiest monster to summon off of the Branded Fusion, sorry, not the Branded Fusion, off of Albaz, because yeah, you can just fuse off any of your opponent's monsters or whatever you've used. 1 Dragos Stapelia, basically a Super Poly target, but you can also hard summon this. 1 Starving Venom for Super Poly as well. Yep, so that was the deck profile, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I do apologise for the massively long delay, but a lot of Yugi tubers now do have massive delays, especially due to life events getting in the way. But I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.